Here we are in Triadelphia, West Virginia. Not our typical place, but there's a story behind this one. Stick around. All right, where do you want to start? We had truck troubles that led to travel troubles, right?
Right.
So I'll give you a little bit of synopsis of what happened. Coming out of Cambridge, Ohio, we got about, I don't know, I've got notes here, 30 to 50 miles out, and I discovered that the truck was not performing well, the tow truck, Ram 3500. And I've got a bit of video a little later on that describes that in more detail. But let's see, so what happened? So we're going up the highway, the truck acts up weird. I call Ellen and tell her, the truck is working weird. We'll try to get to somewhere reasonable so that we can pull over. I pulled over for a couple of minutes on the highway thinking that the truck was regenning or something, and turned out that it wasn't. It was just kind of limping. So went at about 40-50 miles an hour as best I could get it going, and we made it finally to where
Bethlehem, West Virginia.
Yeah, and there we we pulled over into this little town up a couple of hills and stuff, and I figured that we'd find an empty parking lot that we could park in, that I could maneuver and bang a U-turn if I needed to, just to kind of settle in and assess the situation and figure out what we were going to do. So at that point, what did we do? I can't remember.
Well, we pulled into this little parking lot, and it was in front of a State Farm insurance agency.
Yeah.
And the next building over was a funeral home.
Oh, great. Yeah.
So there was plenty of parking.
There was plenty of parking.
And it was a Sunday, so there was plenty of space for the RV if we needed to stay there for a little bit. And of course, I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, what can I do? How can I pull some strings? We do have a friend who's employed by State Farm Insurance, and with it being Sunday, nobody answers the phone. Nobody was open.
We just wanted to make sure we had permission to be there. Didn't want cops coming by or the owner coming by and kicking us out. Where we, I'm sure they would have been probably receptive to our situation, but still. Well,
you put up the hood on the truck, so that helped.
Right.
And then you took off and went and looked around and left me and the dogs there. So that was exciting. And I will say that a few police cars did go by, and I thought they were going to come in and ask me questions, and nobody asked me any questions. And I was like, that's a little weird. But I was hoping they weren't going to ask me to move it.
Yes.
That wasn't happening.
And I think, how was internet connectivity was really sparse there too. So we were trying to look up in RV Life, find other campgrounds that we could maneuver to. And we found a couple, and one, I said, before we go there, I have to figure out if we can get there, because I don't know what I'm going to have to maneuver around with the truck that's up big hills, because I knew I was not going to get up big hills. So I went to one, and this is gas and oil country, right? So you got all these workers that are living in RVs and parking wherever they can in these little industrial places, and that's one of the places I called. The guy got back to me, says, I got full hookups, come on down. I went and took a look at it, and it was in a really industrial section, kind of pretty sketchy, and if we had to sit there for a few days, it wasn't going to be a good thing, so I decided not to do that. And by that time, I think you had made other calls, because,
Yeah, I called around to some other places. Not a lot of... some people were very helpful, saying, oh yeah, we have spots for you, but again, we have a big rig, so their way of thinking, sure, come on down,
right.
We weren't really sure that we could actually maneuver our way into them, and especially if the truck was feeling under the weather. A lot of hills in the area, even on the interstate, there was a lot of hills,
and that one that seemed promising, I went to get to that, and that was all up hills, twisting and turning, and then it was a pretty much a hairpin turn to get around that I knew I'd never make. It was on an angle. If I had to maneuver the truck too many times, it was just going to be trouble, and it was really steep, real big grades getting up there. So forgot about that. In the meantime, you called to find a Walmart and the Cabela's nearby.
I called them all. I was calling Cracker Barrel. I was being very resourceful.
Right.
For the first time ever in this little journey. But I did call Walmart, making sure I was calling the closest Walmart, because everyone says you have to get permission from your local Walmart if you want to park there. And I figured if we had to park somewhere overnight, it would be at least easy to get to. It wasn't that far away. I think it was like 4 or 5 miles away.
Yeah. And that was getting right back on the highway too. Again, and it was still going up a hill, but I figured, there's a big shoulder. If I had to pull over, I could put the flashers on, go up the hill slow, like a lot of trucks do anyhow. So we got there, and there were a couple different places to park there, but we decided to park I decided to park where the trucks were, because that was just the easiest to get to. So I parked in between a bunch of 18-wheelers with their generators running and their coolers running, so it was pretty noisy. And then I got out to take a look at what was going on with the truck, and noticing, we we were probably like 3 or 4 hours out by this time, not in driving time, just in delays, stopping and figuring all this stuff out. So we're on inverter, draining down the batteries, and we've got a lot of food in the refrigerator, so I figured let's fire up the generator. And I only had 40% propane in one of the 40-pound tanks. Go to start the generator, and the solenoid kicks, but it won't turn over. Nothing. So I look at the batteries, and the batteries are dropping down towards a 12.2, pretty low. So that's another problem. So just kind of unplugged everything to conserve power, and then just in case I was able to get it running, or we got somewhere and it got cold, I wanted to have more propane. So we went out, drove around, planning to stay in the Walmart overnight, and went out and got more propane. And then when I finally got back to the Walmart, I put the OBD reader on the truck to figure out what's going on. Again, I'll explain all that a little later in the video. And then what happened? Oh, we got lucky.
We did?
Yeah, that place that you called, the M&E, which you saw in the beginning of the video, they gave us a call.
Oh, well, that was when we were starting to really get to the desperate point, when you told me that the generator wasn't turning on in the Walmart parking lot. At least I thought if we had the generator, I don't know everything about all the workings of everything, but I just thought, okay, so I'm going to be in the Walmart parking lot in the dark. Without lights or whatever, and that may or may not be true, I don't know, but that's when I started looking again earnestly, and actually this guy called us from this M&E RV sites, and we went and we checked that out.
And so good thing we have the SUV separate from the tow vehicle, because that's what I'm using to run around. A lot of people question, why do you have another vehicle? Well, this turns out that it worked out in this case. It's very convenient having it too, besides this. So I went to this M&E to check it out, and again, this is all up, turns, and I'm like, okay, there's no way I'm going to get the RV this way. But I did get there, saw that it was going to be an okay place to set up. The guy, I think his name was Tom, I hope I got that right, he was very accommodating, and he said, well, if you want to just get back out on 70, you can go up the road, boom. It turns out that there was a Ram dealer only about 2 miles away from this site on level flat road kind of, so that was good. And I went backtracked to where the rig was at Walmart and figured out that we get pretty much flat, get up onto 70-76, get to the Walmart, bring it back down around, and we set up there, and it was fine. And then again, I'll tell you what happened the next morning. I brought the truck over to the dealership, and that all worked out, as I say later in the video. All right, so I'm going to reshoot this video because the other version of it got corrupted. So a little bit of what happened with the truck. So as we were coming out of Cambridge, Ohio, and started out on the highway, towing the RV, of course, as I was going up a small incline, I noticed that the air conditioner, or what I thought was the air conditioner, started blowing really, really fast. So I went to turn it down. And I noticed that when I was doing that, it wasn't turning down. I kept on hearing this big whirling and whooshing noise. And then as I started going uphill, I noticed that the truck was not being responsive to the throttle input. And then I noticed that it was just not getting any torque. It felt like I was like almost rolling back on the hill. It wasn't, but it was just slowing down, but the RPMs weren't increasing. It was really peculiar. So I kept on kind of easing it up the hill. I was on the highway. It wasn't an easy place to pull over. And then I ultimately had an error pickup that said that the exhaust system needed service, see dealer. So not much I could do. I had to drive it a few more miles to get it off road, and we finally did pull it off the road and got it into a parking lot of a State Farm insurance agency, which is ironic because I was just on the phone with my State Farm agent. And we started checking things out, and I took out my OBD tester and I put it on to see what kind of codes it was throwing, and it was throwing a P0101 and a P2281, and I'd driven a little bit further, so those codes went permanent. A couple of them were pending, but they went permanent. And what that suggested was the mass airflow sensor was sensing either a restriction or some type of problem getting air into the intakes. So I'll show you where that is and what I did to kind of troubleshoot that a bit. So here is the mass airflow sensor, and I took it off. I checked some voltages. I took it out, made sure it was clean, didn't have any obvious breaks, and then you're supposed to check for leaks. So I removed the air filter here and make sure the air filter was cleaned up, no big debris or obstructions in there. Looked for some cracks, leaks, loose hoses, etc., and I did not find anything. So that was a Sunday. I had to find a dealer. Obviously, no dealers were open, but I did find one a few miles away, and we managed to get to that campsite that I showed at the intro of the video. And then the dealer was just a mile or so up the road. So next morning, without an appointment, I pulled into the dealer around 8:45, told them the codes I was getting, and they said, well, we got a diesel mechanic, but we don't have any racks to put the truck up on. Let me see what we can do. And they made arrangements to get it into the shop, and the mechanic took a look, and he discovered a leak in the charge air cooling inlet section. I'll show you where that is here in a second. Let me get up. And whoa, it is actually down there. You can see that silver pipe, that's part of it. And then there is a piece of hose that connects to. And then down on the bottom, the other side of that silver pipe, there is another hose. And they discovered that there was a tear in either this hose or the other hose. And I'll show you on the bottom where that is. Let me get under there. I'm taking a second. Da-da, da-da, da-da. So right here is that other section. So I don't know if there was a tear here or on the other side. I didn't get that information. If it was here, it could have been from impact or just wear, maybe. I don't know. They didn't much seem to care. The truck's under warranty, and they replaced it under warranty. The problem is that they didn't have one in stock. And ironically, a dealership that they called that did have it in stock was 55 miles back to where we came from. The exact town that I had just left where the problem started. So that was pretty ironic. So they got a driver set up to go back the 55 miles and get it, so 110 miles round trip. Got back to the dealership with the part at around noontime. The diesel mechanic was on lunch, so we had to wait for him to get back. At that time I was back at the RV hanging out with Ellen, just waiting. And then around 3 o'clock they called me and they said it was all set. So from there we left late, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, which we typically don't do, and headed out to our next campground, which was a impromptu campground. I had to find something because we couldn't do the full 300 miles because we were leaving too late in the day, and I would have arrived in the dark not knowing where I was going, so I didn't want to do that. So the symptoms before when I was having the problem was that low fuel economy, getting about 5 miles to a gallon, no power, when I was calling for boost, and I think, yeah, that fuel economy was really low. Typically, I was getting, for the past month or two in travels, I was getting about 9.1 to 9.5. The trip since the repair to here is more like 9.8 to 10.2. And that was going up some fairly good hills. So the truck performed just as I was expecting, maybe just a little bit better. Maybe that tear was there for a while. It just got worse since that last stop we were at, where the problem became more obvious. So yeah, that's it. That dealership, Elm Grove, I'll put some links down. Those guys did a fantastic job. They were very responsive. They moved jockeyed some things around. Got that driver to go get that part. Really good on the customer service. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that. This could have happened to any truck. I know a bunch of people are going to say, oh, that's why you get a Ford, that's why you get a Chevy, that's why you get a GMC. Really, this is just a part that failed. And it really doesn't have much to do with the engine. All turbos have discharge air intake. There's rubber hoses, there's metal. That stuff isn't much different between manufacturers. So I'm not going to go on that manufacturer bashing, mine is best, that one's the worst kind of thing. But feel free to do so if you want. The comments are down below. And then, so what that caused us? After the truck was fixed, it was a Monday, and now we're supposed to be, that Sunday that was a long travel day. That was supposed to be a 6-hour day. Yeah. Close to 300 miles. So now, that is obviously, we want to leave around 9 o'clock in the morning to complete that, so we're off the road by 3 o'clock. The next day, Monday, the truck gets all repaired. Now it's 3:30 and we have to get out on the road, and it's still probably 4 hours to where we are now, which this is Kutztown, Pennsylvania, which is east of Hershey, and we're going to the Hershey show. That's why we're heading this way. So now we got to leave at 3:30, 4 o'clock, and it's starting to get dark earlier, and I don't want to do that. So I end up finding a spot, Shawnee State Park, and I forget where that is in Pennsylvania. Is it Shawnee? I don't know what the town is.
Shawneetown. Shawneetown, PA.
Is it?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was past the Flight 93 Memorial.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, and of course,
going past that, and it was like September 10th. 9th,
right?
Or 10th.
I don't know.
If we had more time, I would have gone.
Right? And that, RV Life brought us this very scenic route, not very fast. Didn't matter to us. The truck was all fine at that point. But it did, we got there at the new park in time. It was still light out. I've got some video that I'll put in here, and you can watch that. We'll talk about that site, and then we'll be right back. All right, we made it to our next campground. The truck is all repaired, and we broke all of our own rules getting here. We are currently in Shellsburg, Pennsylvania at Shawnee State Park, and typically we like to get off the road between 3 and 4 o'clock when we're traveling. And yesterday when we left the dealership, we actually got on the road between 3:30 and 4. So we had to limit the amount of distance we covered because we didn't want to get somewhere in the dark. And this, I think, was 100 and something miles out, almost 200 miles, I think. And we got here by 7:30, just in time. And we got set up, and we got site 305 on the B loop, which I'm going to show you. It's a really good site. It might be the best site in here. So how did we get here? We came eastbound on 7076, and there are 2 exits you can take to get here. One's the Bedford exit, which I think is the one that is recommended, but we took the one that RV Life recommended, and that brings you out onto Route 30, and that will bring you to a winding, twisting downgrade for about 5 miles at 9%. It was crazy. So you might think, well, that'll burn up your brakes. Yeah, you probably would, but on my truck, the 3500, I have the exhaust brake, and I also have cruise control. So what I did is I set the cruise control to 20 miles an hour, which is what the posted speed limit was. Someplace it was 35. And then I made sure the exhaust brake was on, and that thing brought me down the hill slow and steady, and I only hit the brakes 1 or 2 times when I came up to a sharper than usual turn that I'd been encountering. And yeah, it worked out really well. 2 cars behind me, Ellen and one other, so they saw the brake lights constantly on, but I wasn't using the brakes hardly at all. Really cool. So saved the brakes, I guess. So yeah, this campground is really nice. It's got a couple of lakes, which I don't have time to show you those, but you can rent boats and all that kind of stuff. It is, you know, second week of September here, so there's not a lot of people in here. The site we got, like I said, 305. I'm going to show you that in a couple of minutes. But looking around here, you can see most of the sites are gravel. I think all of them are gravel. A lot of green, a lot of trees. And the 305 site, actually, it is good, but it does have tree cover, so our Starlink isn't working there. We'd get a lot of interruptions, but the good news is that we have T-Mobile and Verizon, and we're using both of those without any issues. Ellen was on the phone most of the day today, and I was streaming last night with no interruptions or anything like that. I don't know that we're getting 5G service, but it was LTE. I saw that on my phone at least, and yeah, it's working out fine. Getting texts, we're making phone calls, all that kind of stuff. All right, let me show you the site. And here we are at 305. Check this out. It's level for the most part. I mean, I think the driver's side, my jacks are down a little bit longer, full of stroke there, but we fit the extra vehicle and then some, the rig of course, and then the truck has plenty of room too. And it is full hookups. You get sore 30 and 50 amp water, and the water pressure is good. You can see jacks are up a bit. I got to put some blocks under those jacks. I don't like that they full stroke. So yeah, I know somebody's going to comment in the comments. So here we are. It's got a picnic table, a little fire pit, a lovely Ellen, barefoot, in all this space. She's barefoot but not pregnant. Yeah, so look at this. A lot of room. Let me get Ellen negotiating with the puppies. Yeah, there you go. And there are trails, of course. It's a state park, so there are a bunch of trails up and through there. We don't have time to get there today. The check-in time is 3 p.m. and the check-out time is 3 p.m. So today, again, we're getting on the road closer to 3, but the next campground we're going to is only about 150 miles away. So I'll be able to do that up on the highway speed and get there well before sunset. All right, there you go. All right, so that's Shawnee State Park. Cool place. Wish you had more time to stay there. I might have us go back this way and go there again and hang around, because that was a lot to see around there. The 9/11 Memorial would have been cool to go see, and just the park is really clean. Not a lot of people there, but it was the end of the season, which I think I pointed out in that section of the video. So where are we going to go from that? Back to that M&E place where we stayed while the truck was being repaired. You know, my truck has a big billboard on the side for the RV Tech Service, and of course, before I was off pin, a gentleman came over and said that he had some electrical trouble that he wanted me to take a look at, and I looked over and he had a big smoker going. I said, well, what are you smoking over there? And he said, well, I'm going to throw some steaks on. I said, well, okay then. And so I went over there, talked to him a little bit, and before I even did any work, he made us up 2 great ribeye steaks and brought them over, and they were really good. And I'm like, how do you cook these? Because I can't get them to come out that good, because I don't know how to run the grill, sadly.
Well, you don't have a big smoker like that.
No, he had big
Had a chimney.
Yeah. He had a big he had a toy hauler, and so he carries this big smoker around with him. And let's see. So we went to Shawnee, and now Shawnee again. Ellen's got to work, so we can't leave first thing in the morning. We got a 3 o'clock checkout at this state park, which was nice. We didn't have to leave at 11. So we hung around again. We're late in the day getting started. But I don't know how far we had to go then. It was only probably another 3 hours or so, right?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 hours. Yeah. Right around there.
And that is the, so coming that, Shawnee, that was a pretty easy ride up 77. Getting out of that area from where Shawnee was, there's a road wrapping around and looked like a 10-ton limit going over the bridges, and the RV life was routing us weirdly. We put it in and it said like it was going to take 5 hours, and it brought us to the coast. And I talked at the RV show, I talked to RV Life about that. They tell me why that happened. I might make a video about that. I've been promising a video on RV Life, and we'll get to that in a couple of weeks, I hope. So then finally we got here, which is, what's this place?
Pine Valley RV Resort.
Yeah, and it's an hour away from Hershey, so it's very convenient, and it's very nice. I'll do some drone video around here and maybe show you camera. Big fields where we bring the dogs out, not dog parks. We're breaking the rules, off leash and stuff. Well, sure. What else? Let's see what else I got on my notes, Ellen. I'm doing most of the talking, Ellen. What do you got to say? What is the point of this video?
The point of the video is that things happen.
It does.
And you just never know. So you should always
be prepared. Be
prepared. You're not always going to know what's going to happen. We were fortunate that we had the extra vehicle.
Right.
Because we could just go out and scout around and not have to drive the broken truck.
Right.
Or, I don't even know. Do they even have an Uber in that area?
Probably. I saw DoorDash, so
right.
They probably have Uber too.
The dogs and I had some quality time in the parking lot at Walmart.
It's stressful.
It can be a little aggravating because, people weren't calling you back, or you can't do things online when you don't have internet, or and I will be 100% honest, I haven't been the person making the bookings for the RV spaces. So when
I suck at planning.
When he told me to do it, I was like, okay, I don't know how to do that, but
you did good. You did good. You got those calls out, and it was a teamwork, right? And I can be really, really short, and when I get into those situations, I want to do things snap, 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 and I'm thinking a million miles an hour, and she has to keep up with that, which can be frustrating. So that's part of the trials and tribulations of being a couple out here with kind of two different ways of approaching problems. There's a methodical way, and there's a short-circuit, rapid way, which is what I tend to do.
Well, the good thing was the Walmart was right near a big shopping center. So if I got really bored, I could have taken the vehicle and just gone to all the different stores. And I was starting to look at whether the Walmart was a 24-hour Walmart, because
it was a good Walmart.
If it was, I didn't go in, but if it was going to be dark, I was going to be shopping in Walmart all night long, because I'm not sure I could have stayed in the RV in the dark.
Oh, right. If we didn't have power. Right.
And then you were talking about you didn't want to unhook it because you're afraid the jacks wouldn't go up or down.
Yeah, to be having to do them manually, right? I didn't want to go through that. So all of these things, these what ifs, and you don't know. But we got really lucky. And I think I talk about what the dealer did for us. Elm Grove Jeep Ram in. What's in the place? Whatever. Triadelphia.
Or was it Wheeler?
Right in that area. You can't miss them. They got billboards up and all that kind of stuff, but they did fantastic. We're so lucky that they turned our job around, sight unseen, didn't know us in less than 6 hours. They sent a guy out to go 110 miles round trip to get a part for us, and then covered under warranty and didn't ask for anything. And of course, me being the generous one, I had Ellen cook them cookies as a tip and a reward.
Right, because
I do that all the time.
Because we had full hookups and
that's
propane.
Right, and propane, yeah.
And Scott had to go to the grocery store to get some ingredients.
Right. So, so the generator issue, that turned out to be just, I think it was just low voltage. I got the generator, I just tested it out today. I was on shore power and fired it up, so I know it runs. I'm gonna disconnect from shore power. Oh, no, I disconnected from shore power. I knew the batteries were fully charged. Disconnected from shore power and fired it back up. I'm gonna have another video coming out in a couple of weeks, switching out our AGM batteries for some lithium that I got a really good deal on down at the RV show just today. I was holding off, and it turns out I saved about $100 per battery based even off the price that they were offering at the show earlier in the week. They discounted them another $100 today. When I went down there, they said limited supply. So that
everything must go.
Yeah, everything must go.
Last day of the show.
Yeah, we don't have any video of that because a lot of other people were doing videos and just didn't have time to cut it. I probably wouldn't get around to posting it anyhow. Down below, if you are a fan of Riverstone, there's a full hookups video channel who's done a lot of walkthroughs for Bill's Happy Camper. I'll put all those links down below and maybe a card or two at the end of the video. And also, sponsors are starting to reach out to us now to offer us products and things like that to review for them. So that stuff will be coming in the coming weeks. I've got 2 deals that I'm working on now, and then we'll have those products that we will give away at some point because we don't have room for them, nor do we have the weight capacity to carry these things long term. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, those kind of reviews and those kind of products, be sure to subscribe to us so you make you're aware that that stuff's coming out, and hit the notification bell, all of that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's going to depend on what the products are. If it's something that I like, we'll make room for it, right? Right? Or
probably
if it's like some gadget thing, get
right.
rid of it. But.
Well, I know that it's probably at least an e-bike and then a backup camera system for your RV, wireless and stuff. I know a lot of Riverstones already have that, but this is something autonomous that does things a little bit different. So those are the 2 things we got coming up.
What color is the e-bike?
I think it's almost any color you want. You can go on. I think they said go out and pick out the one we want.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So they'll see this video and then they'll say no because, whatever, and to make us liars. But who knows? All right. So as usual, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe. And if you think anybody else will get value from this content, please share it out to them. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
See ya.